Alright, welcome back guys to another video, and in this video it's going to be kind of different from what we usually say because a lot of times we do talk about the overall design and new features, but this time I want to talk about the overall design and how it doesn't really need to change that much and it doesn't need 5G connectivity or other really crazy features. Before we get started, I just want to say I kind of wish it had a new design, but I kind of get why Apple is continuing the same notch design over and over. And with them doing almost minimum work with the overall design, it's actually keeping a very iconic look. So definitely stay for this video. Right now, iPhone 11 Pro is just 12 days away. It means that it wouldn't be long until Apple's brand new triple lens setup is going to be coming out. It's going to be awesome. I mean, some people might say this is pretty bad. The overall design and the overall concept is a giant controversy because it doesn't look unique. It looks exactly like the previous generations and everyone is frustrated. I get it. It kind of sucks. And it's also been criticized with not having enough features. It's not getting this. It's not really getting 5G connectivity. And I just want to defend the overall iPhone for a little bit because what Apple is doing, frankly, is kind of crazy and it's kind of weird, but of course, let's get started. So it was pretty disappointed that Apple wasn't planning any sort of a major change to its notch design. You got like Huawei, which is a really big Chinese smartphone brand. You got Xiaomi, which is also a really big Chinese smartphone brand. They're both using like a water drop notch, and that's really cool. You got a higher screen spotting ratio, and you do still have that front-facing camera. Samsung has fully embraced the punch hole design, which I tried on with many of the Samsung smartphones, and frankly, the punch hole design is one of the coolest designs I have ever used. Samsung was super smart. They pretty much implemented this crazy punch hole display, which is they drilled a hole into an OLED panel. Very few companies know how to do that, and they placed a front-facing camera. That's awesome, and that really does increase the overall screen spotting ratio without like making a giant notch or anything. And it looks very minimalist, very futuristic. I love what Samsung's doing. The Note series, in my opinion, was like the best. Higher screen spotting ratio. Corners are very sharp. Corners have no bezels, and it's literally like a giant floating display. Now, with Apple, they have this really crazy notch that's been going on for quite some time, and people are like, hey man, I'm kind of sick of the notch. I feel you, and Apple isn't really going to be ditching the notch because Face ID isn't going anywhere. If you don't know, Face ID is so good to the point that you could pretty much scan your face, unlock the phone. You could scan your face and use bank accounts. You could transfer funds. You could buy apps. You could do all sorts of super sensitive stuff just by using your face. Face ID by Apple is actually the best in the world. No other Android competitor comes even close to what Apple's Face ID is doing. It's actually so good to the point Apple is like, we're not dropping this. We're not even dropping this for the fingerprint scanner. We like this a lot. Apple even prototyped the design of a tinier bezel earlier this year. Now, this was actually caught on by OnLeaks, which is one of the biggest leakers out there. They like to take a lot of these really cool leaks and make it into these amazing renders. You can see here, it's a much smaller notch, and you got this 1 to 2 millimeters of bezel that go around the overall smartphone. So, why isn't Apple going for this smaller notch design? Well, Apple pretty much figured out, hey, we can't actually put any of these sensors under the overall display. If you shrink the notch, you can't get some of the features. And Apple doesn't want to be taking away any of the features. Apple's lack of change can often feel really frustrating to people inside the tech community, especially me. However, in reality, a lot of consumers don't really care what the overall design looks like. If Apple launches a new phone, people buy it. People are like, wow, this is a brand new iPhone. Let's get it. It's kind of like this marketing that's been going on. And if you show people like the silhouette of the overall notch from an iPhone, they'll be like, oh, that's an iPhone. That's an iPhone and that's an iPhone 10, whatever it is. But if you show people like a picture of a Huawei phone or LG or Xiaomi phone, people usually don't know what it looks like. And Apple having the same design for 2 to 3 generations really becomes iconic. It makes people know that when they see this design, they automatically know it's an Apple phone without even looking at the overall logo on the very back. It's actually really cool. And if you look at like the iPhone 8 silhouette, it's an iPhone. You automatically know this. You got the giant thick bezels on the top. You got a home button on the very bottom. And if you look at like the silhouette once again for the iPhone 10s, you could see like that's an iPhone. It's the iconic notch. So don't get me wrong. I mean, I would love to see a smaller notch iPhone. I would love to see a hologram iPhone. But right now, Apple is like, we can't put any of the bezels or any of the stuff under the display. It's kind of hard on them. And Face ID has to be super accurate since it does have infrared sensors, and covering that with pixels and display frankly does not work. And so they're like, rather than spending so much money